After returning home, 8 men showed up at my door, each claiming to be my ex-husband. What ex-husband could a vibrant, youthful university student like me possibly have? They presented genuine-looking marriage certificates, and in every photo, I was smiling brightly. My vision went dark, and I felt like I was about to step onto a sewing machine to start serving time. As soon as I dragged my suitcase into the village, the aunties at the village entrance fell silent. Several pairs of eyes fixed on me. Unable to withstand the pressure, I had no choice but to greet each one. Auntie Wang, Granny Lee. Auntie Wang looked at me with a kind expression that gave me goosebumps. She was famously the biggest gossip in the entire area. Jiao Xiao, you're back for the new year. I forced an awkward smile. Yes, I am. With that, I dragged my heavy suitcase and sprinted toward my house. Don't ask why, who knows what rumor Auntie Wang might cook up next. Sigh. How did our little fish Jiao Xiao manage to get divorced 8 times? The village aunties weren't just hard of hearing, they were also exceptionally loud. I stopped in my tracks. Seriously, I quickly ran back home, put down my suitcase, grabbed a stool, and dashed back to the village entrance. The whole sequence was as smooth as eating Dove chocolate, leaving my mom stunned. Ha! I'm back in the village, and I'm going to hear every single rumor about me clearly. Jiao Xiao doesn't really seem like that kind of girl. I had just sat down when Granny Wang clamped her mouth shut and even signaled Granny Lee beside her to keep quiet. I tugged at Granny Lee's sleeve. Granny Lee, go on. I'm listening. My expression was serious, my tone urgent, leaving Auntie Wang stunned. She probably thought I was overwhelmed with grief and couldn't help but comfort me. Jiao Xiao, it's okay. We aunties will help arrange something for you. You can definitely still get married. I spoke confidently. Ha! As if I need a man. The aunties' expressions turned strange. Jiao Xiao, it's not that we're being nosy, but it's better for a young girl to be a bit more dedicated. I was confused. What? The aunties' attitudes immediately shifted, pointing and whispering about me. A young girl like this just won't do. All your ex-husbands have come looking for you. What a joke. Me? You Jiao Xiao, famously single throughout the entire area. I couldn't help but laugh. Auntie, this rumor of yours is just too far-fetched. My smile didn't last long, because the aunties at the village entrance actually pulled out 8 handsome men for me. Next to each auntie stood a handsome man. The scholarly type, the cute one, the sunny guy, the pure-looking one. For a moment, I was dazzled. Auntie Wang discreetly tugged at my sleeve. She nudged her lips. Well, all your ex-husbands have come looking for you. What are you going to do about it? I glanced at the scholarly-looking guy. His eyes reddened. Jiao Xiao, can we get back together? I turned to the cute guy. He grabbed my sleeve. Sis, please don't leave me, okay? I turned again to the sunny-looking guy, who awkwardly averted his gaze. Darling, as long as you make up with me, you can touch my abs and pecs however you want. I visually estimated his chest size. It definitely exceeded 100 centimeters. A chest over 100 centimeters is a man's best dowry. Such temptation. I swallowed hard. It was really hard not to be tempted. I forced myself to look away, about to check out the rest of my so-called ex-husbands, when you Jiao Xiao, get back here for dinner. My mom's roar was as powerful as ever. A moment later, my mom and dad were frozen in eerie silence as they faced the 8 men I brought back. My mom's lips trembled. I told you to bring a boyfriend home for the new year, but you brought 8. The 8 men spoke in unison. Mother-in-law, actually, we're Jiao Xiao's ex-husbands. No, Mom. Let me explain. My dad looked at me with an indescribably complex expression. Me? It's not like that. Let me explain. Does Jiao Xiao want to abandon us after stirring up trouble? Sis, are you planning to abandon us after stirring up trouble? Darling, how can you just walk away without taking responsibility? My parents looked at me with disdain. You have no sense of responsibility. How dare you even think about eating? You Jiao Xiao, you've truly shamed our family. It's over. Even if I jumped into the Yellow River, I couldn't wash myself clean. Sis, have some food. The cute guy piled a lot of meat onto my plate. I swallowed my saliva. My mom shot me a glare. Hey, Emph! This damn little green tea. Just trying to get me scolded by Mom. You eat, have more. The guy was moved to tears. Sis is so good to me. Then I watched him take 2 big bites of meat. Hey, Emph! No wonder you said I dumped you. Serves you right. Sis, I ate all the fatty parts. You have the lean meat, it's your favorite. Darn it. I'm actually a little touched. The faces of the other 7 grew darker, and they all offered me lean meat after eating the fatty parts themselves. My mom's face darkened. "Hurry up and come eat," my dad snorted. After eating, "Go butcher the pig." I stared silently at the 3-pound pig in our family's pan. Then I glanced at the 8 handsome man. I cleared my throat. I declared confidently, "You couldn't possibly be my ex-husband." The 8 men showed varied expressions: sadness, hurt, sorrow. The cute guy even tried to tug my sleeve, but I mercilessly swatted his hand away. "Hey, Amph, I'm a woman of principle. Don't think you can sway me just by acting cute. My criteria for an ex-husband are: knows how to butcher pigs and do household chores. Everyone in the area knows this." Upon hearing this, the 8 men's expressions became incredibly complicated. My mom rolled her eyes at me with practiced ease. I turned to my dad. "My dear father, do you really want your weak and delicate daughter to butcher a 3-pound pig?" My dad gave me a dismissive look and was about to expose my lie when the sunny-looking guy had already tied up the pig and dragged it out, ready to take it to the butcher. "Darling, want to see my pig butchering skills?" My dad's expression froze, and he silently swallowed the story of how I single-handedly butchered a pig during my winter break in senior year. I quickly followed, intending to show him the way, but he was even more familiar with it than I was. The other 7 men followed us out. Along the way, they greeted various aunties I recognized but couldn't immediately name, and they got all the names right. Each of them was sweet-tongued, making the aunties grin from ear to ear. So, when they offered to help the aunties butcher their pigs, the aunties happily agreed. My hands were suddenly filled with fruits, vegetables, and a basket of eggs. But I only held them for a few seconds before the guy who looked as pure as a high school boy took them from me. He smiled gently at me. "Don't tire your hands, you." I was somewhat lost in his beauty. Why only somewhat? Because he was also leading a pig by a rope. The guy next to him, with a roguish charm, who was leading 2 pigs, spoke up. "Xiao Xiao, are your legs tired? Want me to carry you?" Looking at his handsome face. Well, they weren't tired before, but now that he mentioned it, they did ache a little. I was about to speak when I saw the other 7 men's faces darken like pots, one of them even on the verge of tears. Remembering my mom's roar, I changed my tune. "Uncle Do, come help butcher the pigs." As soon as Uncle Do came out, the 8 of them had already pinned a pig to the butchering table. When Uncle Do emerged, his eyes widened in disbelief. He stared blankly at the large group of pigs. "Are all the pigs from the entire area gathered here?" I guiltily took 2 steps back. "Uncle Do, take a rest first," the scholarly guy spoke while raising his knife and bringing it down swiftly. One pig was completely lifeless. He even bent down to nudge the basin at his feet to catch the blood. A few drops of warm blood splattered onto his refined, handsome face. Darn it, he actually looked kind of battle-worn. A battle-worn beauty, just my type. He even leisurely removed his gold-rimmed glasses to wipe them, and glanced at me. Darn it, he knows how to tempt. "Jiao Xiao, why are you drooling?" Uncle Do's loud voice completely shattered my dignity. "The pig isn't even fully butchered yet." Pfft. The scholarly guy smiled at me. That smile went straight to my heart. Ugh. So what if I'm embarrassed? It's fine. Thud. The sunny guy was splitting firewood, sweat soaking through his shirt. I swallowed hard. Sure enough, he felt hot and took his shirt off. TS. As expected, slim looking in clothes but built underneath. 8-pack abs, chest over 100 centimeters. I just wonder how they'd feel to touch. He started splashing hot water on the pig to prepare for hair removal. That muscle definition, that perfect waist-to-hip ratio. My ears felt warm. Scientific studies prove that girls gazing at handsome men's muscles daily can extend their average lifespan by 4 to 5 years, promote blood circulation, maintain mental well-being, and improve aesthetic appreciation. So it's not that I want to look. I'm just thinking about my own health. Good. You Jiao Xiao. Keep looking. My gaze grew increasingly direct. Because I was so focused, I even missed a slight curve that lifted at the corner of his mouth. Just as I was starting to feel flushed from watching, a husky, alluring gasp reached my ears from the side. A semi-wet shirt vaguely outlined another handsome guy's muscular frame. This teasing, half-revealing effect was absolutely deadly. By the time I'd thoroughly admired all 8 of my so-called handsome ex-husbands, I suddenly realized the aunties from the village entrance had shifted their base of operations. They'd come over here. They were chattering away, praising my ex-husband's pig butchering skills. Even the experienced Uncle Du complimented how cleanly my ex-husbands had handled the pigs. My ex-husband smiled shyly. Zhao Xiao said her criteria for a husband are knowing how to butcher pigs and do housework. Granny Wang lowered her head in thought. Granny Wang had a sudden epiphany. Zhao Xiao did say that when she was little. Hey, I'm a devoted woman. The standards I set as a child, I still followed when I grew up. I prepared to close my eyes and accept Granny Wang's praise. Granny Wang's words took a sharp turn. I never expected Zhao Xiao to find all 8 according to that standard. The villagers were deeply distressed. These 8 kids are so capable. The villagers glared at me angrily. Zhao Xiao, you're just too much of a scoundrel. Huh? I'm not. I argued anxiously. Uncle Du's expression was grave. Zhao Xiao, and you still won't admit it. I didn't. These 8 handsome fellows are so capable. Look how well these pigs are butchered. Look how polite they are to us villagers. After a round of education from the villagers, I hung my head dejectedly and led my 8 handsome ex-husbands back home. My mom told me to unlock my phone for my little nephew to play with. Fine, whatever. The important stuff was already locked away anyway. My little nephew only uses my phone to watch videos. Then my mom took me to our kitchen. Mom, what are you doing? Ever since I blew up the kitchen at age 11 and dyed a dish for them to eat, my mom has kicked me out whenever she saw me enter the kitchen. So why is she letting me in now? My mom looked at me with an increasingly kind expression. She lifted the lid off our rice jar. Her voice was so gentle it made me uncomfortable. Zhao Xiao, we're almost out of rice at home. Pick one. Although it's not like our family can afford to feed 8 men. But it's the New Year holiday. It's hard to buy rice. Before I could speak, my little nephew came into the kitchen and said my best friend had sent me a video. I was about to take the phone when my little nephew's hand slipped, tapping to play it aloud. I'm marrying 8 men at the same time, but I'm just not getting the marriage certificates, and I'm holding the weddings on the same day. Do you all think I'm committing a crime? You are not. I'm just making you all jealous, but you can't convict me. The profound words of the legendary Zhang San, the outlaw, left my mom momentarily stunned. And then she told me to get out. She pulled my little nephew over and asked him earnestly, Sweetie, tell Grandma, which of those 8 handsome uncles do you like the most? My little nephew frowned and thought, Grandma, I really like all 8 of those handsome uncles. Then my little nephew said something shocking. If it really comes to it, we can just borrow rice from the villagers. Well done. Truly a nephew raised under my tireless tutelage. The consequence of my nephew's shocking statement was that both of us were banished to spend the night on the living room sofa. My little nephew was exhausted. Before falling asleep, he mumbled, Auntie, those 8 uncles are so handsome and so nice. You should resolve your issues soon. After all, don't let the fertile water flow to others' fields. With that, he fell asleep. I put on my headphones and began my all-nighter journey. First, I gave my best friend a piece of my mind. Then, I looked at the 8 chat avatars flashing with little red notification dots, feeling puzzled. They had all cropped part of my profile picture to make couple avatars, and the nicknames were all variations of Dearest Hubby. I randomly tapped on one. Well then, a perfectly angled photo of defined abs, with delicate skin texture and glistening droplets of water. I stared at the photo and silently swallowed. There was also a message, Xiaoxia's bedtime treat. My nose felt warm. In a brainless impulse, I tapped his avatar. A line of small text popped up below. I patted Dearest Hubby and said, Hubby, pants go bye-bye, a complete social suicide move. I closed my eyes, refusing to look at the chat, and checked the others. Randomly tapped another one. Drives out in sports car, good evening, my beautiful sister. I wonder if you have time. Parks in wrong spot, gets towed by traffic police, sends message, the profile pic is me. Message fails to send, leaves regretfully, lowers voice to a sexy tone, good evening. My darling, have you? Chokes on saliva, coughs violently, swirls wine glass, good evening, my darling. Oh, so there's a funny guy too. Not bad. Liked. In another brainless impulse, I patted his avatar. I patted Dearest Hubby and said, I love Hubby so much. I silently opened the other chat windows. A soothing audio recording to help sleep, with a deep, enticing voice. I patted Dearest Hubby and said, good night, Hubby. A several thousand-word fan fiction about my favorite obscure CP, brilliantly written, sweet enough to melt my heart. I patted Dearest Hubby and said, Hubby, snuggle. After repeating this 8 times, I had grown numb to the social embarrassment. But then it struck me, They all knew my preferences so well. Even though those pat messages were slightly embarrassing, they were indeed things I might say. Looking at the flashing red dots on my phone, I couldn't resist. I created a group chat and added all 8 of them. Before any of them could speak, I started typing furiously to interrogate them. If you say you're my ex-husbands, then show me the divorce certificates. As soon as I sent it, the group fell into an eerie silence. Just as I was growing impatient, 8 largely similar messages popped up in the group. No divorce certificate, only marriage certificate. Then they all sent pictures. I opened each picture one by one. They really were marriage certificates. The girl in the photos really was me. Even though the clothes and makeup were different, it was unmistakably me. The real deal. They all had official seals too, and didn't look photoshopped. But the dates, they were from 6 years in the future, and the stamped dates were all within a few days of each other. Before I could say anything, all 8 of them came to the living room and handed me their physical marriage certificates. Holding the 8 red booklets, I fell into deep thought. To avoid waking my little nephew, the 8 of them silently returned to their rooms, sending messages in the group saying they'd explain tomorrow and telling me not to stay up late. Well, I'll be damned if I can sleep tonight. I flipped through the 8 marriage certificates over and over. The seals even appeared to be embossed steel stamps. This seems to be getting real. Even less likely to sleep now. I must be ill. I scrutinized them for half the night, and only then did I see the words hidden between the lines. The entire book was filled with the phrase, "Yu Zhao Xiao will end up on a sewing machine." With trembling hands, I opened the chat with my best friend. "I have a bold guess," she replied instantly. "What?" I looked at the 8 marriage certificates, then at the flood of messages from my best friend. I replied, "Possibly, maybe, probably. I'm going to eat free meals." "What free meals? Take me with you. You better be loyal, you rascal. Take me. From now on, you're my dad." I couldn't take it anymore. "Piss off. I'm talking about bigamy. Damn it." The other end went quiet for a long time, so long I thought she'd fallen asleep. I was about to close my eyes and force myself to sleep when she suddenly sent a long string of messages. "Wait, no. I mean, probably, possibly, maybe. Those marriage certificates might actually be real. Wouldn't that make them your future husbands? You couldn't possibly get divorced and remarried every few days." And I looked carefully. 2 of the certificates even have the same date. You can't get married simultaneously, can you? Reading my best friend's message, I examined the certificates closely. It was true. 2 of them had the exact same date. My mind was a tangled mess, my brain seeming to crash. Another message popped up on my phone. "You think they might not be from 8 different parallel timelines?" I replied irritably. "What do you think, I'm playing an automne game?" Then I turned off my phone and ignored her. But the more I thought about it, the more sense it seemed to make. So much sense that at 6 a.m., I found myself wearing pajamas, braving the chilly wind, running through the village with several handsome men. As I ran, I reflected on why I had agreed to their demand to get up early and exercise. Then, mid-run, my vision went black. When I opened my eyes, I was met with a handsome face magnified in my view. His eyes were red-rimmed. He cautiously seemed to want to hug me but ultimately withdrew his hands. His voice was choked up. "Zhao Xiao." At the sound, the other 7 crowded around. They all looked utterly exhausted. The scholarly guy was the first to speak. "Zhao Xiao, you wanted to know why we have marriage certificates from the future, right? You are not going to say that you are all from different parallel timelines and all married a future version of me, are you?" He froze for a moment, a flicker of complex emotion passing through his beautiful eyes, then smiled at me. Zhao Xiao is so clever. Now it was my turn to be stunned. My best friend was actually right. He composed himself and continued. "On our first wedding anniversary, you died unexpectedly." My brain was about to short-circuit. Wait, do and tell me the other 7 future versions of me also died on their first wedding anniversaries? I even ventured a bold guess. The cause of death wasn't the same. Was it? The air seemed to freeze. None of them spoke, which was essentially confirmation. Such an outrageous thing. Yet I found it somewhat plausible. No wonder they could find my house so precisely, blend in so well with the villagers, know my preferences so intimately, and even remember the silly things I said as a child. Seeing my silence, they thought I didn't believe them. "Sis, please believe us, okay? Darling, I'm really not lying. When I climbed onto that incredibly cool motorcycle, I thought I must have lost my mind. I actually agreed to simulate a first wedding anniversary date that would happen 7 years from now with each of them, to preemptively avoid future risks. 10 minutes earlier, they had almost come to blows over who got to have the first date with me. I was out of options. I could only follow the dates on the marriage certificates. Whoever's date was earliest went first. As for the ones with the same date, rock, paper, scissors decided who went first. The motorcycle guy glanced back at me with a smile, his wide teeth and radiant grin making my heart pound. Ready? After I nodded, he revved the engine and we sped off. Streetlights flickered beside the quiet mountain road, the wind roaring in my ears. My heart was beating a little too fast. Instinctively, I tightened my arms around him. He stopped safely and helped me off. He looked at me quietly, a smile on his lips, his dark eyes shimmering with fine points of light. Jiao Xiao, did you like it? The cute guy, holding a huge, fragrant bouquet, pushed him aside. Sis, do you like it? I didn't answer for a while. He looked at me pitifully, his eyes rimmed red. His tone was dejected, like a puppy that had been abandoned. Sis doesn't like it? I hesitantly reached for the flowers, but the guy with the chest over 100 centimeters pushed the cute guy aside. He very carefully wrapped a fluffy scarf around my neck. Darling, you've been in the wind so long, aren't you cold? The cute guy immediately spoke up. Exactly. Some people don't even know how to care for sis. His tone was exaggerated and dripping with sarcasm. The motorcycle guy, pushed to the side, had a face as dark as a pot. Sigh. Here we go again. Before the others could join this male competition, I tugged at the motorcycle guy's sleeve. His expression visibly improved, though his voice still carried a hint of grievance. Jiao Xiao, can I hold your hand? A small corner of my heart seemed to melt. With almost no hesitation, I took his hand. All right. Now the other 7 faces turned completely dark. I explained somewhat guiltily. Let's go quickly. We should get to simulating the scene of my death soon. My sudden mention of this topic made their expressions freeze, and the atmosphere around us seemed to grow heavier. The motorcycle guy followed the planned itinerary and took me to a restaurant he had reserved long ago. The other 7 didn't follow us further. They watched in silence as we entered the restaurant. The melodious sound of a cello filled the air. He thoughtfully cut my steak for me. The steak was delicious. The restaurant music perfectly suited my taste, but I ate somewhat absent-mindedly, occasionally looking up to check his expression. He just told me to eat quickly before it got cold. So, apparently, my death didn't happen here. I forced the steak down bite by bite, tasting nothing. I blurted out without thinking, "You, all of you." He seemed to understand instantly. He chuckled softly and patted my head. Don't worry. We followed the date plan step by step until it was time to go home. The whole journey was calm and uneventful, completely opposite to all my expectations. I thought they would make me rehearse my death scene over and over, so I could avoid my impending doom later. But no, it was like a normal couple spending a romantic day on a special occasion. We had a silent understanding. He didn't bring it up, so I didn't ask. The other 7 followed silently behind us. The village paths had no streetlights, relying only on the light spilling from nearby houses. The motorcycle guy matched my pace, walking slowly beside me. Our shadows, one tall, one shorter, fell on the path. He seemed lost in thought, staring at them. His voice carried a tremor almost too faint to notice. Jiao Xiao, you must keep walking forward without looking back. He spoke very softly, but the night was so quiet. I heard it clearly. My nose stung, tears almost welling up. I nodded silently. When I reached my doorstep, I saw my mom still sitting on the sofa waiting for me. I called out guiltily, "Mom, I'm back." She nodded and told me to get to bed early. Just as I entered my room, I heard my mom sigh. "You ate. Come outside with me for a moment." My mind was a jumbled mess. I didn't even turn on the light, just sat on the edge of the bed in a daze. My little nephew's voice suddenly sounded. "Auntie, why didn't you turn on the light?" I snapped out of it. His little legs swung as he walked over to me. "Why are you in my room today?" I told Grandma I wanted to sleep with Auntie today, but she took so long to come back. "Auntie, you and those 8 uncles," I patted my nephew's head. "Sweetie, tell Auntie, did those 8 uncles say anything to Grandma before?" "Auntie, you're not asking if the 8 uncles showed Grandma the red books, are you?" I instantly froze. How does he know about the marriage certificates? If my mom found out, I'd be done for. My nephew pouted, then fished out 8 marriage certificates from somewhere on his person and placed them in my hand, sighing. "If Grandma knew, she'd break your legs. Then why didn't Mom scold me for coming home so late today?" My nephew gave me a look of utter exasperation. You fainted from low blood sugar today, went to the hospital. Coming home late after that is pretty normal. Seeing his expression, I finally relaxed and fell asleep completely at ease. I had thought my mom knew something. When I heard the words from the guy with the chest over 100 centimeters standing before me, my entire person went numb. What? Say that again. What did my mom say to you all after she called you out yesterday? He spoke somewhat helplessly. Darling, what mother-in-law said yesterday was, she wanted each of us 8 to have a one-day date with you, then for you to choose one to stay. Mother-in-law also took us to the kitchen. She said our family is out of rice. After speaking, he met my gaze. His eyes were sparkling, his warm breath brushing against my ear. It sounded almost like a plea. So, darling, choose me, okay? The movie theater booked for just us was now utterly silent. I had no idea what point the movie had reached. My ears were filled with the sound of a pounding heartbeat. I couldn't tell if it was mine or his. I didn't speak, and he leaned in a little closer. In the future, the bedtime treats won't just be photos. You can touch however you want. I'll let you. His voice grew softer and softer, his ears turning completely red. Help! A guy with such a great physique being a shy, pure-hearted puppy. I'm dying over here. I was utterly, completely tempted. After all, the conditions he offered were truly enticing. I was just about to say something when the movie ended. Darling, if you haven't decided yet, when you do make a choice, could you maybe consider me? He reached out and tugged my sleeve, looking at me somewhat pitifully. I held his hand and whispered, "Okay." His body trembled slightly, as if holding something back. I was puzzled and looked up. The corners of his mouth were twitching uncontrollably into a smile. His ears were completely red, and even the palm holding mine felt a little sweaty. Today, the other 7 were dragged off by my mom to do chores, which largely avoided the usual battlefield scenario. Remembering the resentful looks the other 7 gave me this morning, my scalp still tingled. I silently thanked my mom in my heart. Similar to yesterday, by the time we finished the simulated date following the plan, it was already very late. However, what struck me as odd was that none of the places we went today overlap with yesterday's locations. But they clearly said that in the other 8 timelines, 6 years from now, my cause of death was exactly the same. Apart from yesterday's motorcycle ride, I couldn't figure out what danger these places could possibly hold. I racked my brains but couldn't come up with what my cause of death might be. In the subsequent dates, each took me to completely different places. Occasionally, 1 or 2 locations overlapped, but there were places like amusement parks or restaurants. Security was always top-notch, not dangerous in the slightest. I tentatively tried to ask them, but they all brushed it off vaguely. Their responses were all pretty similar. They just said, "Trust us." Frustration built inside me. They had only given me one path. Besides trusting them, I had no other choice. Today was the final date. The date was with that handsome, scholarly-looking guy who wore gold-rimmed glasses. His bedtime treats were always fanfics or content about the obscure fictional couples I loved. He had always been the picture of gentlemanly restraint in front of me. Yet, for this date, he actually took me bungee jumping. He chose a tandem jump. His nearsightedness was mild, and he had already removed his glasses. Shaggy strands of hair cast faint shadows across his face. For some reason, I suddenly felt there was a streak of madness hidden deep in his bones. As the staff checked our equipment and strapped me into the harness, I stared at him for a long moment. He smiled, letting me look, and gently coaxed me, "Don't be afraid. It's very safe here." The moment we jumped, we plummeted downwards. At first, I only felt the thrill, but during that rapid descent, a sensation bordering on death washed over me. My heart hammered wildly. Besides the wind, the only sound in my ears was my own heartbeat. He suddenly leaned in and held me firmly in his arms. The scent of his cologne wrapped tightly around me, unexpectedly bringing a sense of calm. He chuckled softly, soothing me. "Don't be afraid. I'm here." When we were back on the platform, my legs were still trembling uncontrollably. As if I'd narrowly escaped death, my heart continued its frantic pounding. The staff quickly untied our harnesses. He walked over and gently embraced me, his breath warm against my ear as he whispered with a light laugh, "Xiao Xiao, do you know what the suspension bridge effect is?" The suspension bridge effect under stimulating conditions, influenced by adrenaline, one feels nervous and afraid, which can be mistaken for budding romantic feelings. My mind went blank. He continued speaking. His voice held a hint of enticement. "So, choose me, okay?" The The path away from the bungee platform was short. We reached the exit in just a few steps. I was about to say something when I looked up and met the faces of the other 7 men, all dark as thunderclouds. They looked like they really wanted to fight the scholarly guy. I estimated the scholarly guy probably wouldn't be able to take them all on. But right after I had that thought, the scholarly guy spoke again near my ear. "I can take them." His tone was lazy, the tail end of his words carrying a slight rasp. Damn it. I was shamefully tempted. They surrounded me, checking that I was truly unharmed before letting out a collective sigh of relief. Remembering that today was my date with the scholarly guy, they all held back from saying anything. However, this time, they absolutely refused to leave. The cute guy looked at me with a pitiful expression. I don't know why, but I've been feeling anxious all day. "Sis, let us follow you, please." Before I could respond, the scholarly guy spoke up. "Follow if you want. I just had a bad premonition. For Zhao Xiao's safety, let's just go through the motions at the remaining places today and head home early." He pursed his lips, his expression darkening as if remembering something unpleasant. He didn't even bother retrieving his glasses. He just took my hand and hurried away, wanting to get down the mountain as quickly as possible. Just as he said, we really just went through the motions at each place. But because the locations were quite far apart, by the time we were on our way home, the sky was pitch black. For some reason, the village path felt especially long tonight. Several households seemed to be away visiting relatives. The moon was also hidden behind thick clouds, making our surroundings completely dark. Feeling uneasy, I quickened my pace. Suddenly, a dark figure leaped out from ahead. The light from a phone reflected off the long, slender fruit knife in his hand. I didn't even have time to react before he charged at me, raising the knife to stab. In that split second, the scholarly guy nearest to me turned, shielding me in his embrace. I couldn't see anything, only heard the sickening sound of a blade piercing flesh and a muffled grunt. The pungent smell of blood instantly filled the air. The men seemed to have gone berserk, stabbing the scholarly guy repeatedly. The scholarly guy pushed me away, shouting, "Run!" Then he twisted, trying to pin the man down, desperately dodging the knife. The others rushed to help him, but several more figures seemingly appeared out of thin air behind them. Without a second thought, the other 7 men grappled with these new attackers. Warm blood sprayed onto my face. For a moment, my legs felt rooted to the spot. My mind went blank, but then I saw several more figures emerge from the bushes. The scattered light from dropped phones illuminated their faces clearly. They all shared the same face. Cold sweat dripped down my back. They shouted, "Run! Hurry! Zhao Xiao! Didn't we agree?" They used all their strength to restrain the frenzied attackers. Crimson blood gushed continuously from their wounds. Their faces were deathly pale. Even speaking seemed to drain them. "Go forward. Don't look back." In that instant, I understood why they hadn't told me before. Why they hadn't told me my cause of death. They had agreed to simulate dates with me, said they wanted to avoid the future outcome, but they had only taken me on dates and done nothing else. They just wanted to quickly bridge the distance between us, to make me trust them at the most dangerous moment. From the very beginning, they had excluded me from their plan. Large tears rolled down my cheeks. I stumbled forward, fumbling clumsily to unlock my phone. Liars. All of them. My fingers trembled. I pressed the wrong button several times before finally dialing 110. Suddenly, the sounds behind me stopped. A bone-chilling cold swept over me. I stiffly turned my head. They were all dead. My heart felt shattered into countless pieces. I could barely stand. The call connected. A gentle female voice asked what was wrong. Before I could speak, the man, eyes bloodshot with rage, rushed forward with his blood-drenched knife and plunged it into my abdomen. My phone slipped from my hand, its screen shattering. I couldn't even cry anymore. So this was the pain they had just endured. Soul fragments collected successfully. Rescue successful. Everything shattered and disintegrated. I woke up from the searing pain of the wound in my abdomen. I stared blankly at the glaringly bright white light on the ceiling. Memories gradually flooded back. I had returned to my parents' home for the new year with Song Zi after our wedding. That night, walking home in the dark, a man suddenly leaped out from the roadside bushes, knife in hand, trying to stab me. But Songzi reacted swiftly. He took the fatal stab meant for me. Songzi desperately restrained the man, telling me to run. But the man, consumed by bloodlust, threw the already exhausted Songzi to the ground and beat him. In a panic, I tried to call 110. Before the call could connect, the man stabbed me in the abdomen. My vision went black. and I lost consciousness. But I seemed to have fallen into a series of bizarre, absurd dreams. I dreamed I returned to the past, bringing different men home for the new year each time. Each of those men carried traces of Songzi within them. A voice echoed in my mind. As long as you collect all of Songzi's soul fragments, Songzi will not die. He will be able to awaken again. The incident of Songzi and I being attacked that night repeated over and over in each of my dreams. Fortunately, each time, I was the one who took the knife for the person carrying Songzi's soul fragment. Each dream ended the moment I died. Then a new one began. But when only one fragment of Songzi's soul remained to be collected, something unexpected happened. I returned to an even earlier time and lost all those memories. I returned to the village entrance for New Year, and the auntie said I'd been divorced 8 times. They even produced 8 handsome men for me. Whispers from nurses reached my ears. It's so tragic. Just going home for the new year and getting stabbed by a fugitive murderer. The man in room 511 is so handsome too. Today, I heard the head doctor say he'll probably be a vegetable for life. I snapped awake, got out of bed, and stumbled towards room 511. No! It can't be. It can't. That voice said it. Soul fragments collected successfully, rescue successful. The wound in my abdomen tore open again, pain lancing through me. I collapsed onto the cold floor, looking at the man lying on the hospital bed, tears falling unbidden. Songzi, I finally collected all the soul fragments you lost. Why were you so foolish? Those fragments were foolish too. If I had just died a few more times, it would have been enough. Yet they went through so much to find me. What if in the end I hadn't managed to call 110? Wouldn't I have lost you forever? Songzi's finger twitched slightly. I stared numbly as he reached up to wipe my tears away. Jiao Xiao, don't cry. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear to let you suffer for me. The end.